Hello, everybody, and welcome to Love Within Walls, a Prison Wife podcast. This is episode 3, and I am your friendly host, Gigi, here, and I am with
Your friendly host, Paige.
Woo! And we're
I am
back.
also here.
She's also here, and we're back with our third installment. And today's topic is what is it, Paige?
Judgment and stereotypes and all kinds of fun things that you get to deal with as a prison wife.
Womp, womp, womp.
Literally. That's how I would describe it like that too.
Yes. And I had a sound bite, but it's not working. So I had a very dramatic sound bite, but it did not work. So anyway, we are here to talk about judgment, stereotype, stigma, all of the wonderful stuff that we deal with being a prison wife. But before we start the episode, I'm just gonna be straight up real with you here. Obviously, if you saw my Instagram today, I had visit and it was not a good one. I'm not going to sit here and say that all of my visits are wonderful and it's like a fantasy and a dreamland because it's not. And there's a reason why. Today's visit was very emotional. I actually left early, which is something I never do. I left about an hour and a half early. As soon as they said the bus was there, I was ready to peace out. It wasn't because we were fighting. It wasn't because of anything that Michael has done. But it is because of what is happening in our state of Louisiana here. There's been some bills passed in the legislature that affect me and affect thousands of other people in the state and their families, dealing with criminal justice reform rollbacks, going backwards. So instead of being,
Unbelievable.
yeah,
Really unbelievable.
instead of being moving forward and progressing, now we're regressing and going back. Um, and one of them is obviously for me is there's two that probably would affect me is obviously the death penalty bill. They are making the electric chair and nitrogen gassing legal in our state. And I have to admit, I'm terrified. And I will say this, going to Angola today, the vibe was totally different. It was sad. Everybody was quiet. There weren't that many people visiting today. Um, and
It's
keep them,
heartbreaking. It's
yeah,
really
and
just heartbreaking.
yeah, and to see and to know that everybody's feeling the same way
Yeah.
when you go there it's just there was a cloud today. You could feel it. The other bill that is being pushed forward is getting rid of parole and good time. Um, in the state, you had to serve 85% of your sentence, and then if you were, had good behavior, you could get out on good time. And obviously ending parole eligibilities for anyone with a life sentence. So needless to say, now there's, when you talk to other families, I got the chance to talk to one of my good friends who was visiting her husband today, and she's like, a lot of the people have just, there's no hope now because majority of the population of Angola are lifers. We hand out life sentences like it's candy. So just,
Especially way back in the day.
oh yeah, no, even today, I mean, we have mandatory life sentence without parole if you have a second degree charge.
I I don't understand. And like where's the data to back up them with all of this shit?
I
With
have,
excuse my language, but holy fuck.
yeah, no, I mean, language accepted because it is that. And we have some of the harshest sentencing laws in the entire country in our state. So needless to say, I'm coming to you a little upset, a little frazzled, but we're going to do the pod and we're going to rock this out because that's what prison wives do. We get we have our feels, we get in our moment. I cried
Warriors.
yeah,
Solid warriors.
solid warriors. And I cried the whole way home.
Mm-hmm.
Um and listen to, I only want to listen to sad songs. That's what I do sometimes. That's my way of dealing with it. But yeah, I just, I think Michael was shocked that I was leaving early. The staff was shocked that I was leaving early because I never do that. I usually stay until they kick me out. So yeah. So
Sometimes you
it's
got
a,
to do that for your
yeah,
own mental health. You
I
know what I
did.
mean?
I had to. I mean, I just felt like the walls were closing in. And as much as I wanted to be there with my husband, I just, I had enough. And as soon as I had a moment I never wanted to get on the bus so bad. It was just overwhelming. And I don't think I was the only one there today with that feeling. So, if you could just keep us in your thoughts here in Louisiana, we are trying to fight the injustices here because for some reason they believe killing people is saving the state. I don't understand. Um, so my husband included. So bear with us, think of us, fight with us, please. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this judgment pod
Well,
going.
before
Sorry.
you jump right into that, I just want to
Sure.
say, even from me, and I know everyone else will appreciate it too. I just appreciate you being open about your journey. Even, everyone likes to show the pretty parts of their relationship, but there's two sides to this life. And I think it's important that, you highlight that and just show the humanity behind what you guys are going through and not just covering it with a blanket. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I appreciate that. And part of me, I'm just going to add this before we jump in. Part of me felt bad because we started off the visit kind of actually good, like on a good
Yeah.
foot. I think once we started talking about stuff and stuff
Mhm.
that I had talked about with other prison wives there, some of the other Real Housewives of Angola, it just became a cloud of despair.
Yep.
And I felt bad. I felt guilty because here's Michael. Michael is very happy-go-lucky, go with the flow, cheerful guy. I call him the Mickey Mouse of Angola. I mean, you'd never think this man had spent 25 years on death row. You would never think that because of his attitude. And I felt guilty because, as prison wives, we're supposed to be strong for our men and,
You
not
can't
let
be
them
all the
see
time.
us cry. And I'm sitting here in visit crying, not being strong, being vulnerable with him, which is, I feel totally comfortable doing that with him. But then he started feeling bad about it. And I'm like, oh God, like I rubbed off on him and I felt a little guilty about that. But we had a conversation when I got home. I let him know I got home and we had a talk. And, he's like, I understand. Like, how can you not feel like, how can you not feel that way, right
It's
now?
important for you to be real about those emotions
Yeah.
and let him know about them and let yourself feel them because, repressing it and not being honest with him is just not the way to go. So you're doing everything right. Like, and
Yeah.
he's being amazing being there for you.
Oh
Your
yeah.
marriage is definitely solid.
Yeah. And I told him tonight, I was like, you really are my best friend. Like you
Mhm.
really are my best friend. And um yeah. And he's like, you're my best friend too. And I just, today I was just like, I'm really scared, Michael. Like I'm actually terrified. And I feel like I'm the only one that's terrified.
Yeah.
Like, believe me, you're not. Even though I don't, he's not, I'm very, I wear my heart on my sleeve, my emotion, I'm very strong emotionally. He is too, but he's a little bit more subdued with showing it, I guess, because obviously you have to be if you're in a penitentiary like that. So he's like, believe me, you're not alone in your feelings. And so it felt good to be validated because I felt like I was the only one not spiraling, but just worrying and being scared about everything that's happening right now
Mhm.
in our state. So, yeah.
Well, one more thing just before we dive off this topic into the
Mhm.
other one. I just want to say, maybe just reiterate what you just said, just so everyone fully understands that right now, the Louisiana GOP is rushing to approve the death penalty methods of electrocution and nitrogen gas. They are, openly disregarding any concerns that go against, cruelty, the legality of it, the morality of it. It's absolutely barbaric. And the year is 2024. This is
Yeah.
happening. I don't know how. And I I don't think enough people realize that this is happening live in real time right now. And I'm just asking that, even if you share this with one other person, just getting people to know about what's going on is important because this is insane. When Joe Biden was running for president 4 years ago, he promised us that he would abolish the death penalty. And here we are 4 years later. We are coming up with new, different ways in different states. And I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. And it's been, they've written letters to states that are using this type of, especially the new nitrogen execution method, like NATO, EU, a lot of different world agencies are against it, and they've written out and
Yeah.
spoken out against it. So, they're saying they think, the argument is it's humane, but it's really not.
What?
They
Like,
even had, I know we're not talking about judgment right now, but they even had the wife of the man who was recently executed in Alabama. I read her testimony. She
mm,
actually testified to the state legislature and the governor about what she witnessed. And they said it would be done in 3 minutes. It was like 20 something minutes,
no,
and
no,
it was
no.
not, it was violent. So after reading that yesterday, I read it to Michael yesterday, her statement, and I couldn't, like, I was choking up reading it. So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be sorry guys, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer at all, but this is my real life right
This
now.
is real life
Yeah.
right now. This is important. No sorries.
Yeah.
That's it's important, and I appreciate you sharing that with everyone.
Yeah. So if you can, if you're part of a CJR group or organization, we can use all the help, thoughts, well wishes, anything that you can think of down here in Louisiana, because it is,
Anything will help.
yeah, we're just moving way backwards, way backwards. So, and we haven't had an execution since 2010, and that execution was voluntary. So it's been a long time. And so they're about to start up again, which is scary. I'm very scared right now.
I'm gonna get really angry if we
I'm
say.
sorry. I don't mean to make you
No,
angry.
like
I
I'm about
just
to get. I'm like, oh my god, this makes me so frustrated.
I'm sorry, Paige.
Woo!
So, but there was a lot of movement last year with possible clemency, but that was all denied by the state. So
Not even you didn't even get a shot.
we it was shut down fairly quickly. Fairly quickly. Yeah. The person that is governor now was the one that shut it down very quickly and swept things under the rug and did things backhandedly. So that's where we are. But anyway, before I, go off on a tangent, we'll just dive in. That's where I am today. But I'm here to talk to you about, me and Paige are here to talk to you about judgment, because good Lord, do we experience it or what?
All the time, no matter what, no matter where. As soon as anyone finds out,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And we saw one of our members of Love Within Walls, our Facebook group, posted today about being judged and not having support from her family. And I told her, wow, like, your story is very similar to mine. I experienced judgment, and I didn't even, people found out in my family, and I got completely judged in every which way.
yep.
And I'll tell you my journey with that in a little bit, but this woman came out and was brave enough to share her story. And so I told her, I was like, tonight's topic is, it is about what you're talking about here. Like, the fact that people who you do know and who you don't know, the judgment is pretty much, it's coming from every angle.
And for some reason, people feel more welcome to be open about their negative judgment towards us than other people. Like, I don't know how many other people can just post a simple picture with their significant other posing and you'll get automatically get hate.
oh yeah.
I don't really know anyone else that happens to. Like, we didn't do anything to anyone. What's up?
Well, Michael and I were actually talking about this at Visit today. Like, when you tell someone that your significant other, your spouse, is incarcerated, people feel the need to just ask you all of these questions, and they're not questions like questions of understanding. It's questions like, well,
Nosy.
what did he do?
Oh,
Well,
that's the first one
why are you
always.
with him? Like, what,
Any
like,
anytime I post a picture or a video on TikTok of me and Joe, no matter what, someone always will be, so what do you do? So what do you do? So what do you do? And then they'll like do like roundabout things. Well,
mhm.
they'll be like, so someone said he did something with children. What are you talking about? Like, oh, so you're this your roundabout way of trying getting me to admit what happened because that's not even close to anything of what happened.
Yeah. And like we were talking today, and it's like the first question people ask is, why? Why are you with them? And it's like, who are you? Why are you with your person? Like,
Yeah, like
like
ignorant.
I would never ask somebody that if I just met them or if I knew them. Like, I would never have the audacity to ask somebody, well, why are you with your person?
I get
But because we're prison wives, people feel it's okay to ask that question, you know?
Yeah. I get a lot of backhanded things like that thrown my way. Like I remember one comment I got that was like, you had the option. Most women don't have the option to be prison wives. You did, and you chose it. What does that say about you? I'm
Yeah.
like, what? What? I don't get it.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, because I chose to love someone?
Yeah, like I don't get it.
Yeah, like, okay, so why did you choose to love your person? I mean, it's like, I don't know. I think they think that they can say whatever they want as
Mm-hmm.
soon as you drop, he's incarcerated.
Yeah.
And if you didn't say that, those questions would never come up. So it's almost like people have this new audacity to question you about your relationship if you are with someone who is
They
incarcerated.
there's something about them that makes them think it's their business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's always the vibe I get. Like it's owed to them. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. And I would never ask that about, it's like,
No.
and so,
That's rule number one in prison wife. You know what I mean? You never just,
yeah.
hey, what'd your husband do? What?
No,
No, no,
yeah,
no, no,
especially from
no.
prison wife to prison, even just prison wife to prison wife.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
a
That's what, no.
no, 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 nay, nay. Like that is something that you can ask once you establish a relationship with a prison wife and you feel comfortable enough to ask that and y'all have that rapport, to share your stories of your loved one's crimes. But to come out and just ask that prison wife to prison wife, no, much less somebody that is not even in. And so there is it's crazy to me because there is a respect aspect in the prison wife world, yet there isn't one between a prison wife and someone that is not in a relationship with someone incarcerated. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Like
true.
I would never ask you what Joe did.
Yeah.
If I
I
just
mean,
met you. I
but
mean, I know now, but I mean, if I just met you and we were in a group together in a Facebook group or a
no.
support group or something, I would never just come out and go, okay, lay the crimes out. Let's go.
No,
Like
yeah,
that
right.
is,
Right. Also, tell me where he's located
oh gosh. Yeah.
or the roundabout ways that they will try to ask where they're at so that they can figure it out themselves.
Yeah. And then they go
Yeah.
Google stuff,
Like, I don't think so. What
Yeah.
the?
So just be careful putting all that information out there. That is prison wife 101. Respect. No, don't do that. Show respect. Like that's basic prison wife etiquette.
That's
So
also just the safety of your loved one, too.
correct. Absolutely. Because, a lot of the documents and court proceedings and information is public record. So it is searchable. So you do have to be cautious about that kind of stuff. You don't want to give too much away unless you feel comfortable and you know this person very well and y'all, have obviously bonded or something. But yeah, it's just it just boggles my mind the way people who are not in prison relationships react when you tell them you're in a prison relationship. I'll go ahead and start telling my story of massive amounts of judgment. For those of y'all that don't know, this is my big leap out of my toe or a couple toes out of the closet.
We love
Um,
it. We love to see it.
I've been in the prison wife closet for about 8 years. And I did this because not only am I in education and I fear that I don't want my relationship mixing with my professional life, I keep those completely separate, obviously. But my family is ultra conservative. The only people that know in my family are my mother and my father. My three brothers do not know. My nieces, who I adore and I'm extremely close with, do not know. And
Wow.
they're all adults. My nieces
I
are
don't
all
think I knew
adults.
that part.
Yeah, my nieces are all adults. So I mean, I could tell them, I wouldn't, I came close with one of them, but I just said, well, if she knows, then I'm gonna have to tell the other ones.
Hmm.
So because we're all close. We're a very close-knit family. Um, and so my aunts, my uncles, my grandmother does not know. Um, they don't know about Michael. They don't think I'm in a relationship. They always ask my mom, well, why isn't she dating? Like that's the topic of conversation.
Yep, of course.
So my parents found out because my mother found, this was in very, like, I would say maybe 2016, 2017. My mother found a letter in my mailbox from Michael.
You
And
weren't fast enough that time.
no, I did. This is the reason why I got a PO box. Is not because of Michael, it's because of my mother. She took my mail at my house. I live, I don't live with my parents. Um, she took my mail and she opened the letter and read it.
Okay, the way that is illegal also.
Yes, yes. And so I'm gonna totally hit that because she took my mail with her. My dad saw it. She showed my dad, and my dad said, absolutely not. That is illegal. Go put it
Jesus.
back. I was at dinner with some friends of mine, and my mom called me and told me, I found your letter. I have your letter. I'm bringing it back.
Oh, your stomach probably dropped. You were not hungry after
No,
that.
no,
Oh my God.
I immediately left. I went into full panic mode. And my mom proceeded to meet me at my house, my mom and my dad. My dad said, look, here's your letter. She was wrong to take it. I'm returning it to you. My dad is pretty rational. He's like, you're an adult. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you I don't think it's a good idea. But I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's your life. So my dad was pretty rational about it. My mom, not. She did not talk to me for a week and a half. After
Oh,
that, she wrote me a letter saying Michael is a killer. He's what would your grandmother think? What would your brothers think? Your other grandmother would be rolling in her grave right now. Um, so I had zero support. And let me tell you this, my mom and I are best friends. We are close. We go to the gym together. We hang out on the weekends together. My mom is my best friend. She really is.
yeah.
So to have this was killer. It was killer. And it definitely put a wedge in our relationship. Now I'm gonna fast forward. It took 7 years. And her and I finally had a conversation. And she encouraged me not to say anything to anybody about my relationship. It took us 7 years, and we were on a trip together. It was actually this past May. We went to a family reunion out of town, and we were driving home, and we drove past the road to go to Angola. And she told me, you know, I never understood. I don't understand. And I'm asking God, she was Christian. I'm asking God for understanding because I don't understand why you love this man. I said, well, mom, first of all, he's a person and I fell in love with him and he's the love of my life. And there's nothing I can do to change that. And
Yep.
so she's like,
Yep.
so she said, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to understand it because I see that. I see all that you do. You go twice a month, every month. Clearly, this is not just a phase. And I think my best friend that I did tell right away when I started having feelings for Michael, she talked to my parents too. And she said, it's her life. This is who she loves. You don't have to like who she loves, but you have to respect it and you have to understand and accept that this is who she's choosing.
Mhm.
And so I think my mom is starting to come around. She's come leaps and bounds from 2016. We cried in the car together. I never had a moment like that to where I could be that vulnerable with my mom in that realm, you know, in
That's awesome that you were
feeling
able
that.
to.
Yeah. And so just know, I know some people like our friend is has no support. And some people never get support. I wouldn't give up though, because we don't talk about we don't talk about Michael. Now I say stuff every now and then. I'll drop stuff. And my mom actually, I had Michael on speakerphone one time, and my mom actually was listening and conversating, and they were joking around um, a little bit. So the leaps and bounds from 2016 to
Yeah, that's
now.
huge.
Yeah. So I would just encourage y'all not to give up on people. Even though I'll be honest, the reaction is painful to see people react like that. To know that if you show them the human side of your loved one, that it can change their mind. I've actually had a friend who worked with me for a nonprofit, and she was a prison wife herself. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be hogging the mic, but I just want to tell this story real quick. She told me my husband had, you know, he had maybe like 10 years or something. She said, I was I was very much pro death penalty until I met you and Michael. And it's amazing the judgment that you get within the just even in within the prison wife community. If you're a lifer wife, if you have a loved one on death row, people can't wrap their mind around it. Um, she told me that, and I was just astonished, like, wow, I'm making Michael human. I'm
Mhm.
making him human to people. And and you know, I made him human to my parents. I made him human to my best friend that found out about us, who was very hurt by me not telling her, which I've talked about previously. And so I guess my thing is don't give up on people. I would just be handle yourself with grace, handle yourself with patience. You have to understand too that it's a shock factor when people find out. But you can change some people's minds. Some people are willing to listen. Now, there are some people who also are not willing to listen. So it's just, you know, you may hit a moment where it shocks you that they're like, I want to know, like, okay, so obviously this is a real thing here, you know? Um, so yeah, that's my story. And my best friend obviously is supporting me 100% now. The one I thought would not want to know about Michael. She actually, I told her I was writing a pen pal in Angola, and she said, "Don't fall in love with him because that's not good." And of
Mhm.
course, that's what happened. And so I just kept it from her. That's why I didn't tell her. Um, and now she's supporting me 100% and saying, "Tell your truth, tell your story." So anyway, that's my story. But we can get into the other judgments if you'd like, Paige. Is there anything you want to share about judgment that you faced?
Yeah, I'll maybe touch on my family and my story regarding my family a little bit later,
Okay.
but just thinking outside of that, my work life, I mean, I'm a manager with my job. So, most of the people that I talk to are my team. So I'm not walking around with a shirt that says, "Hey guys, I'm married to someone incarcerated." I'm kind of just, keeping my normal way of life about it. And, I don't hide it by any means. And there's actually a handful of people that actually know that I work with, that I am comfortable and I have that relationship with. But, you know, one thing you just got to be careful about, if you do that, choose to expose your work life to that, is know that there are just people that are mean or evil, or not kind. I don't I'm trying to think of a correct way to explain it, that they just don't have good intentions with that, and you don't want to tell the wrong person and then have the entire office know, which might not be what you want. You might not care, but that's just something, not specifically with myself, but I have talked to many women where that exact situation had happened to them. They had gotten close with someone and, opened up to them. And then soon enough, everyone was asking her all of these questions and she was breaking down.
Yeah, it's like when you tell somebody I'm with somebody that's incarcerated, it's like the T of the office, like I guess.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't like being the center of any story or any tea.
Yeah, no, me neither. Same way. That's why I don't even tell anybody at work. I don't.
Mhm.
Plus, I mean, in my job, I work with kids, so I just don't even want to
Yeah,
bring that in
no.
there. So, but I want to kind of talk about how to handle judgment from people if if you just say something randomly and they go, "Oh, well, where's your husband? Where's your man?" You know? I know a lot of women go, "Oh, he's out of town," or whatever, but if you decide to open up and say something, how do you handle people's reactions if they aren't, as warm, or the shocked face? That's the most one you get, is the shocked face, like, oh my
I don't
gosh.
I don't ever openly like tell people, but I will say to you, when I was in California, I told like almost every person when I went to get my rental car. I remember the guys that were working at the rental car place were like talking to me and joking and like all these things. They're like, "So where are you headed?" And I was like, in my head, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna tell them. And I was like, I'm actually headed over um to this place and this prison. And they were like, they all like looked at me and they were like, for what? And I was like, visiting my husband. I like put my ring up and they automatically, their minds changed. They're all
You
like,
can It's like you
this,
can see the wheels spinning,
yeah,
like, in their
automatically they're like,
brains.
this
Yeah.
bitch is crazy.
No way.
Yeah. So then they gave me a car and I said, bye. They said, have fun. I said, oh, I will. Thank you.
Is it, and I'm just asking this because I'm assuming this, and I don't want to, I'm trying not to make assumptions, but obviously, I guess you feel more comfortable because you're never going to see these people again. Is that
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. And I mean, like, in general, I'm a very private person. I
Mhm.
don't really like I'm open about my life on the internet, and a lot of that is for the sake of advocacy and talking about Joe, but
Yes.
that's like the extent of it. I don't ever want to be open like that in a setting where I think people would abuse that or the opposite would happen.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just curious because, if you go somewhere, and I'll say this, like, I went to the internet. It's, I think the name changed, but it used to be called the International Family Prisoners Pink. Sorry, blah, 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 I'm saying it backwards. I think it was the name International Prisoners Family Conference, and it was in Dallas. This was in 2018. And we were all there. Like, it was a lot of people in the criminal justice community, the prison family community, great place to network. And obviously we were staying in a hotel and conference place, like a hotel with a conference section in there. And there were people at the bar, and we were talking, and people were listening to our conversation, people not with the convention or the conference, and they were listening, and they were like, Oh my God. Are you hearing this conversation? She's with a guy who's been in jail for 20 years? What? Like, um, so it was just like, okay, like, do
And that's when
you
I
want to
get like
join in? Like,
I get ignorant in like situations like that where I'm like I feel the need especially if they're saying it in a tone where it's loud enough for me where I would have to turn around and be like, is everything okay?
yeah. I was like,
No? Like,
you
hello?
you good?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I mean, obviously we experience judgment everywhere, anywhere, family, friends,
Oh, I know one.
coworkers. Oh, go ahead.
COs. I have a story.
Oh, go ahead, girl. You tell it.
Specifically, I told Joseph what we were talking about today regarding, judgment and stereotypes. And he goes, oh, you know what story you have to tell. And I was like, what? And he was like, this one. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Um, Basically, what it is, when he was back at High Desert, not super early in our relationship, but a few months in, um, when I would send him pictures back then, they didn't have tablets. So I would send them to him. They would get printed out, and the COs would have to give them to the guys, basically. And of course, they open them and look at them before because they have to,
Yeah.
or whatever. Um, Literally there was this one CO that whenever he would give Joe the pictures I would send him, he would have to say something to him. And it was the craziest thing because like the first time he did it, he was like, that's kind of weird. But then when he did it again, he was like, what are you trying to say? Like, the one of the first times he gave a picture of Joe, a picture I sent Joe, he was like, don't you feel bad? This is your wife. Don't you feel like you're holding her back? Don't you think she could be doing other things? And then like I sent a picture of me and my son and he said, "Is that your son? Are you the biological dad?" And
Wow.
he was like,
Intrusive.
yeah, he was like, "Good luck." What the hell does that
Oh
mean?
my gosh.
Like the ignorance and
The
like I
nerve.
let me tell you, I was fuming and I was like, I'm about to write a letter to someone about how your CO should not be in my business and saying things like this about my relationship. And he, of course, retaliation and stuff. He's like, it's probably just let this one off your roll off your shoulders. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I did, you know.
I was gonna say you can also I mean, I would think you can also, if it's a continuous thing, file some type of complaint,
Uh
for
huh.
harassment or something. Like,
Uh huh.
his job is to, obviously, I understand, check pictures, check letters, whatever, and give it to them. It's for security purposes. I mean, he has to do his job. I get that, but the comments are unnecessary and the judgment is not needed. Like, I understand you do your job, but you're crossing a boundary here.
They're crazy. One time I sent Joe a picture, literally a bikini picture, which is you're allowed to do for the
Mhm.
record. It's a bikini, okay? Um, so he walked over and showed Joe the picture and said that it wasn't permitted, ripped it up in front of his face. I swear to God.
Oh my gosh.
So
So
like,
so the CO is the one that checks everything, like they don't have
yes.
a person that checks it before it gets
It's
to.
they are the checkers.
Okay.
They're the I don't know what they do. I guess someone's assigned to do it. Whoever does it for the tablets likes to sit on there.
And just look at all the pictures.
I don't know because they just sit there. Sometimes I have stuff that's been pending for a week. I'm like, hello. Sometimes I'll send messages and be like, hey guys, can you guys approve my pictures?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um, and I'm also gonna add this in there just as a, because it's happened to me and I've talked about this before. Um, the not only do we get judgment from, I'm gonna go through the list again: family, friends, coworkers, people you meet on the street, COs. We also get judgment from our own,
Oh
sadly,
yeah, we do.
our the prison wife community.
Yep.
I'll be honest. I mean, this is real talk. I mean, let's be real. We get judged for being MWI. which is
Mm-hmm.
met while incarcerated. Like, why would you choose this life?
Yeah.
We also get judgment from people that whose loved ones don't have long sentences, and we do. Why would you
Hmm.
do over 20 years or life with somebody? Why would you be with somebody on death row? Oh,
Yeah.
how
Yep.
could you do that to yourself?
How do you
Like,
plan it? Like, and sometimes I also have at least gotten the impression, and this does not obviously go for all, met before incarcerated couples, but sometimes um, it's almost like their love is more valid than ours. And, no one's love is more valid than the others just
no,
because of a situation.
no,
So,
I mean, love is love, and you meet people in all kinds of situations and walks of life. And, um, I think people that there is, since we're talking about stigmas and stereotypes, there is a stereotype for women who look for prison relationships.
yes, sir. I've heard of it.
So, and these are the ones that obviously are that prison wife stereotype that people
Hmm.
talk about from that looking from the outside in. Um, and so people just, I guess, can't understand why you would go looking for love, in a prison, or why you would seek it out, because maybe you got low self-esteem, you can't find a guy on the street, that kind of stuff. That's the stigma and stereotype that go with being a prison wife because of that MWI stereotype of
Hmm.
looking for it.
There must be something wrong with you, basically,
Yeah,
is what
yeah.
most people insinuate. Not other prison wives, but like other people. Like that
Yeah.
is what they think. They're like, okay, so what's wrong with you that you do that? And
Mhm.
nothing. I'm looking for a genuine person, and
Yeah,
I found that.
and sometimes you're just looking for, some people are just looking for a friendship, a connection.
A connection. And
Um,
that's, I mean, can you blame someone for wanting to do it like the way where you can only communicate
and
given today's day and age?
yeah, and I'm gonna be real. Some people, newsflash, newsflash page, some people actually have empathy,
Yeah. I
you
wouldn't
know,
have known that a few years ago, but I do know that now.
and compassion, and they want to reach out to someone that is looking for some type of connection with someone, whether that be relationship, romantic or not. Um, a lot of these, I'm not saying all, but some or several lots start off as a friendship. I mean, that's how Michael and I started. We were friends. We were not dating or girlfriend and boyfriend. I mean, we started out as legitimate pen pals.
And like
Um,
beyond that, it's no one's business. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
just crazy that anyone ever feels like they need to explain that or like, you know what I mean? Because even if you are going on to a pen pal website to find someone that you love, who cares? Why does anyone feel like um they should judge you for that? And that's my opinion of it. But also jumping back to the prison wife thing, there was one more thing that I wanted to touch on before we um jumped over that.
okay.
Sorry, I keep like leaving spaces for you to if you want to say something.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Um, some prison wives will reach out to you and connect with you, and then the second time they reach out to you, it's, "Hey, are you looking for some more money?" the
Oh,
the MLM life within the prison wife world is for real. I've seen women that are MLM people that aren't even really in this world that disguise themselves almost as
yeah,
people that are and then try to manipulate other prison wives, and it's like, why would you do that when you know what we're all going through? You know what I mean? This is
yeah.
not what this community should be doing.
And they seem to target newbies, like women
Or
that are
yep,
kind of
vulnerable
new on the journey.
or elderly.
Yeah, I've
going.
been there. It's always, hey, let me tell you about this. Have you heard about this great new program? And I kind of bought it. Bought into it at first, and then I was like, whoa, what is this? And then finally, after my inbox was blowing up with all these things, these requests, I finally just, as soon as they start with that, I block, block, block,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. And
So
with that, I know that I don't want to say that there aren't there aren't prison wives who have actual small businesses or work in companies where they could maybe recruit people. I'm literally talking about those MLM scams that the girls from high school that you haven't talked to in 10, 20 years are reaching out to you trying to get you to sell into.
yeah. Oh yeah. And they come with a vengeance. Like they come full force.
Hey girl.
Yeah. Hey, do you have a minute? Can we talk?
Hey girl,
How are
how's it
you
going?
doing? Yeah.
Girl, how do you think it's going?
I haven't talked to you in like 20 years. What do you want now? Like,
That's when you should respond and be like, "Girl, what's up? My man's incarcerated. What do you want from me?" Like, honest to God, I'm going through it.
Yeah, see if they're very empathetic then and
Yeah,
yeah, and give you any judgment there.
yeah. Judge me now.
But I was gonna quickly talk about the pen pal part because I want to go back to that because I'm gonna kind of give my age away here. I don't know if you did this because I'm a little bit older than Paige. Mm. I'm a dinosaur compared to Paige.
Oh, please.
So when I was in middle school and like early high school, we used to do pen pals. I don't know if you did this,
We
like
did.
with
No, we did.
people.
We
Okay.
with like other countries.
Okay, yeah, people around the country and people in other countries. So
Mhm.
and this was before internet. This was before like, World Wide Web. So I'm really giving my age away here. So I mean, I'm sure for you, and I've seen it now, like they do like video chats with people in other countries. Like now it's like that
Mhm.
kind of pen pal thing. But it was like letters. You wrote letters. So this was not something new to me. I mean, I had done this when I was little, and I'm like, even as a young person, you're looking for a connection with someone, and you want to meet someone new, and you want to learn things about somebody. So when we talk about judgment and meeting people via pen pals or prison pen pals, I mean, you also have to look at it that way. Some people are just looking. I know Michael had a pen pal in Scotland, and it was just a connection. It wasn't anything of a relationship or anything, but people just want to reach out and be
I
compassionate and connect.
I can even say for myself and Joe, our love language is words of affirmation. So,
Yeah.
like connecting on that level and being able to connect like that, that's why we fell in love so fast. And
Yeah.
that's why we both, craved that, why we had 5 or 6 different letters going back and forth at one time.
Yeah. And Michael and I are writers. Like we love to write. We love to write stories. I love writing poetry. So writing letters was, I thought, a beautiful art. And so I look forward to writing letters because nowadays you don't do that anymore. It's kind of
Well,
old school.
Joe and I still do sometimes.
Yay, look at
Yeah.
y'all.
Just he literally just sent me one like last week. He's such a romantic. Ugh.
I love it. I love it. He's so eloquent and a romantic. He's like ticking all the boxes,
I
Paige.
know.
Green
I know.
flags,
I
all
should
green
marry
flags.
him, right?
You should.
I should marry him. Yeah.
So do we want to talk about moving from more of the judgment to how to handle stigma and fighting the stigma?
Definitely.
Because as a prison wife, I mean, the reason I'm in the closet is because there is a stigma.
Mhm.
Society looks down upon women or men who support incarcerated individuals.
Yep. They look at it, like I said earlier, almost as a target that you're open and willing to get attacked because you attach yourself to that person. So now, you're going to get it just as much as they might.
And so have you found that there's a way to handle or combat the stigma surrounded by being a prison wife?
I feel like a lot of the time you got to realize whoever you're conversing with, because, a lot of times there's people who are trolling. Those people, you just got to ignore them. Sometimes it's fun to play along with them. I'll do that sometimes. Like I had one person that commented on my TikTok that was like, this is daddy issues
Oh yeah, I
at its
remember seeing
worst.
that.
And
Hmm.
I was like, actually, this is daddy issues. And Pink. Fuck, I forget what I even said back.
Did you tell him off?
No, I said something funny. Oh, wait, let's just not use that example. I have a different example I can use.
Okay.
Um, like even on one of our podcast clips that we have on Instagram, someone commented on it and was like, "Wow, dating a man in prison. Who wouldn't want to do that?" And I like
Mhm.
responded and I was like, "Now you're getting it." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Sometimes
Yeah.
it's fun to play into it, but then sometimes there's people that are just going to be mean. Those people don't even respond to them because all they're trying to do is get a reaction or a response. But then there's actually some people hidden in there, if you can tell, that are kind of just not educated. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can go back and forth and, respond with serious responses and kind of get somewhere and even get to a point where you're like, okay, let's agree to disagree. But
Mhm.
sometimes it really depends, in my opinion, on who you're talking to.
Yeah, and just be wary on the internet. People are, like you said, looking for sensationalizing and you know, looking to incite something out of you.
They want a
Um
reaction. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. And they're willing to say some pretty rough things to get that across. I've seen some of your posts on from your posts on either it was TikTok or
Oh,
X,
yeah.
oh, why are you with this guy? He should rot, like
Mhm.
the mean comments, the really negative comments. And um I think people just don't they forget, they don't realize. I mean, I was talking about this today to another prison wife. People who don't have a loved one incarcerated have no idea what the justice system is like.
Mm-mm.
Um,
No,
the prison system, the courts, the entire justice system.
yeah, and how unjust it truly is, and how,
Yeah.
you get trapped in it and you're going to be trapped in it. um I literally had someone message me, or not message me, I think she literally commented just out in the open on my TikTok and was like, I hope if he ever gets released, or I think she said, I hope if he gets released he doesn't kill you. Like, what
Wow.
what possesses someone to say that? That's crazy. You don't even know anything about anything. Like
Yeah.
I I think about those things and I'm like, I would never do something like that. They have to be like so miserable, or something had to happen, or and then that's when I start to almost feel bad for those people, because I'm like, wow, like you must be going through something.
Yeah. Either they're trying to incite you, they're ignorant, or something's going on in their life that they are insecure about, or something happened to them to where they feel the need to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Which if that's the last one, I can be empathetic to that. But to cut someone down that you don't even know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know. I think if it were, like I said, I'm gonna go back to where we started. If it were you and Joe taking a picture in front of Disney World, nobody would ever say anything
Never.
like that,
No.
you know?
No.
But because he's incarcerated and you're trying to bring awareness to criminal justice reform and things like that and helping him, um, people feel the need to say something like that, you know?
Yep. Always. I can
And
always expect it.
yeah. So um with that, I just want you guys to remember that everyone's opinions, I think the biggest prison we live in is the prison of what other people think about us. And Um, I want anybody to take away from this is, you know, judging someone based off of a piece of information or a picture or, a post, um, it you're not getting the full picture. And
Yep.
I think that people need to maybe just say, like, look, if that was my loved one, I mean, and I'll say this, my best friend, the one that, like, I didn't tell and she was upset. She said, if that were my husband, I would be fighting my ass off to free him.
And I do.
So people can be there. I want to highlight both sides of the spectrum, because there are people that are just going to be straight up negative, but there are people that might have a negative reaction at first, but then they warm up and they come around as tell them. And so I, I guess people can be surprising sometimes. And the biggest thing as prison wives that we should do is educate, come from a place of empathy and compassion.
Come from a place of wanting to help change the stigma. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
Yeah.
Just assume that they don't mean any malice with the questions and just generally, and guess what? If they come back and they're like, ha ha ha, be like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
all right, weirdo. Like, I don't know.
And so just, I mean, I guess the biggest thing is just be you. And I hate saying be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of who
I have a
you're with.
quote.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I love
I have
quotes.
a I shared this on Instagram today, and I think this is really important when it comes to just dealing with a lot of words and things being thrown at you just for having someone that you love incarcerated, whether it is your husband or your son or your daughter or someone that you know, your friend.
Mhm.
Like, at the end of the day, trust your inner voice so much that other people's opinions are appreciated but not needed. And I
Oh my
love
God, that's
that.
so close to my quote. Can I give you my quote too?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So this is what I said when my parents initially found out about Michael, and they were not happy about it and they were not speaking to me about it. Um, One of my favorite movies from the 90s is Tu Wong Fu. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a drag queen movie. It's with Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes, John Leguizamo. And Wesley Snipes plays the drag queen Noxzema Jackson. And I love Noxzema Jackson. But some of the words that Noxzema Jackson said, and I used this and I told myself this over and over and over again when I was facing the adversity of my parents not liking who I'm with. Um, your opinion is neither desired nor required. And the reason I say this is because if you're not willing to get to know Michael,
Literally.
if you're not willing to get to know my loved one, if you're not willing to try to understand, even if you don't understand fully at first, no problem. Even if you have a hard time understanding at first, no problem. If you are not trying to understand, then your opinion is irrelevant,
Yep.
because you have
You know
no
me.
foundation. You have no foundation to base and judge.
That I say that too. Like, you know me, like these people as a person, you should trust my judgment and people and know that, I wouldn't just fall in love with someone who wasn't a good person.
Yeah. Well, I did fall in love with someone who was not a good
I
person.
literally, as I just said that, I'm like, wait, damn it.
I had a couple of people that were not good people in my life. And so I can understand. And listen, I get it. Me coming to my parents saying, hey, I'm in love with a death row inmate.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm the only girl, I'm the youngest, and I'm the baby girl. And it's like,
Hmm.
this is the last person I would pick. Because when you hear that, obviously, shock and terror run through your mind.
Yep.
It's not what you want to hear your daughter tell you. But like I said,
Personally,
yeah,
personally, if I don't have a daughter, I have a son, but if maybe I'm just one of those moms, but if he was like, hey mom, I'm writing to someone on death row, I'd be like, hell yeah, I raised my kid right.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, just even if he wants to write to people just to like have connections and like give people connections, I'd be like, wow, that you are empathetic.
yeah.
You I love that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's amazing. And like, there's that one quote. I never say it right. Speaking of quotes, something about you can't change the world, but you can change the world for one person or something. You can change one person's world or something like that. And that's where I was coming from with Michael. And so you don't understand, like, when you offer somebody a connection that's in a place of being cast away by society, by family and friends. Michael had all these friends on the street.
Hmm.
I mean, he's only got one friend that really stays in touch with him,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
Joe,
So,
most of Joe's friend, he doesn't talk to any of the people that he was like friends with. Like his connections are his a lot. He has a lot of family members, but like he was really good friends with his cousin, who he still talks to. But there's no um, friends that he still has connections with, which is sad to think about.
yeah. And so, you know, these are people looking for connection and they've been cast away. And I will say this, they do really appreciate friendships, connections. Michael told me, he's like, if you can ride with me, because this is once we established our relationship, obviously, if you're with me now, when I'm at my lowest,
Hmm.
can you imagine what it would be like if we were a couple on the street?
Hmm.
So it's like, if you can be friends with me when I'm at my lowest point, what does that say about your character? You know, like, clearly you're of good character if you can give to someone without asking for something in return, and someone who may be at their lowest and you're helping them maybe bridge a gap somewhere, maybe giving them a new perspective, a new lease on life. Because these men and women who are incarcerated have been kicked down. I mean, they're dehumanized beyond measure. They're set apart, they're isolated from the world. So by reaching out and having that connection, I mean, you're doing something of noble character to me, because these people have nothing to offer you.
I recommend
Really.
everyone writes to someone in prison in their life. And, not even, it doesn't at all need to be romantic, but like, even just developing that connection and, giving someone, a friendship or, you never know what they're going through. And I can promise it's almost always probably worse than what you could expect, because that's just the reality of our mass incarceration system in this country.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that you wanted to add, Paige, that we didn't cover tonight?
No,
Okay.
I would just probably end with saying, you know, make sure you kill them with kindness.
Yeah,
That's
always.
that's the best way to do it, because at the end of the day, they want that big reaction from you, and you not giving it is a win.
It puts the power in your hands.
It absolutely
Yeah.
does.
Do you have any shout outs?
Um, at the top of my mind, I do not. Do you
Okay.
have any?
I do. I have a shout
Okay.
out. Okay. Well, my shout out is to an incredible journalist, I guess, newsletter, company, article, nonprofit. I don't know what the actual title is. I've read several of their articles, and I'm actually going to share the link on our Instagram, um, for the article that I'm talking about, especially if you are not a prison wife, or if you're new to the prison wife world. This article came out in, I'm pulling it up, came out in 2017. So I found this when I was kind of fresh on my journey, a year in on my journey. It's it's from the Marshall Project. So shout out to the Marshall Project for writing
They're
articles.
awesome. They put really great articles together.
Yeah. And so they did an article called from the Life Inside. It's called Life Inside: What Never to Ask a Prison Wife. So if you just want to get educated on the prison wife life, you know, it says people say the darndest things when they hear your spouse is incarcerated. So it's kind of understanding what to say and what not to say, what kind of questions to ask, what's more user friendly when someone reveals to you, because it does take a lot of guts to come out and say sometimes, because of the stigma. I'm with
Hmm.
somebody that's incarcerated. He's incarcerated. She's incarcerated, So I'm going to add the link to our story on Instagram on Wednesday when on our hump day drop. So be ready to look at that. It'll be there on our story on Instagram. It's just a really good perspective of people. And there's other related stories too of how to handle dealing with someone if they tell you their loved one's incarcerated, or, what's the right way to ask. And, they do say like prison wives are some of the most strongest in the article, some of the toughest, strongest, loyalist women you'll ever meet.
Emphasis on the loyal
Yeah.
and strong.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is my shout out to the Marshall Project. So thank you for putting that into publication so people can read it and educate themselves. And last but certainly not least, what time is it, Paige?
It's meme time.
It's time for that meme. What's the meme of the week?
We need like a little
We
jingle
need a
for it.
jingle.
Yeah. If you make jingles, hit us up.
Okay. All right. So are we ready? Close your eyes. I'm gonna give clout. This meme comes from at Prison Wife Life. So shout out and clout to Prison Wife Life for putting this meme together. All right, close your eyes, friends. Here we go. There is a picture of Sophia, if you don't know, from the Golden Girls, and she's looking up and she's talking, and the tagline says, when someone tells you what they think of your relationship with an inmate. Excuse me, have I given you any indication at all that I care?
You
So,
read that so well.
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we love you guys. Feel
Oh,
free. Sorry.
ma'am, one more thing.
Oh, sorry. Ma'am,
Um,
ma'am,
ma'am,
ma'am.
ma'am, ma'am. We have to drop one more bomb.
Go ahead.
What's our surprise for next week?
Yes. God, you may tell him or you want to tell him?
Yeah, you tell
It's
them.
your, hey, you tell him, Paige.
Oh, okay. Well, this is actually going to be the last episode that we give you guys through only audio. Next week, we will begin filming every episode of this podcast as well. So if you want to watch us along, because I promise I make all kinds of crazy facial expressions. That's one thing everyone always tells me when they meet me. I don't really try it, it just happens. So that'll be a little new fun part of our podcast. I'm really excited for it. I don't know
Oh
about
yeah.
you.
And I'm just straight up goofy. So you're gonna see me make faces all day. So
Yo,
I'm excited. And it'll be on Love Within Walls YouTube channel,
yeah,
correct?
yep.
Okay.
We'll get that linked and everything. I don't know if we have it now, but we can make
It'll
sure
be on
that
our
that
it'll
happens.
be on our link tree for sure.
Yes,
And it obviously will still be podcasting on Apple and Spotify podcasts every
yes,
Wednesday at
yes,
7 a.m. Eastern time. And if you
yes,
have any stories, because I know you do,
yes.
I know you have stories about judgment, about stigma, about not having support on the outside. Um, Please email us or hit us up on our socials. Our email is prisonwifepod@gmail.com. And our social is on Instagram, a Prison Wife Podcast, and on TikTok page.
Yep. On TikTok, we are at a prison wife pod, and you can search Love Within Walls. And I also just want to like offer as well to, anyone that's going through like issues, maybe with judgment and stuff, specifically with family or other people. If you want to talk about it with anyone, my inbox on Instagram or Facebook, wherever you have me, is always open. And you can always feel free to message me because I'm always here.
Hey, and likewise here, our personal Instagram
Yeah.
pages are linked to the a Prison Wife podcast on Instagram. So please add us and send us a message if you would like.
We're here.
And then we're always open. We have lots of people experiencing the same thing. Like I said, we had this topic come up today in our Facebook group, Love Within Walls. Please come and see us there. And if you need connection, and I just want to say, we did put out the date for our girls' night in,
Mm-hmm.
our Zoom call that we do when we meet up on Saturday night. And what day is it, Paige?
Our girls' night in is next Saturday, March 9th. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, goes hello, goes to 10 p.m. We actually already have 19 people that checked yes that are coming in our group. And, I would love for others to join. If you have a Facebook and you'd like to join in our group, please do. We're growing by the day, and it's just a really awesome community of women supporting each other. If you do join and you feel like you'd like to share your story, please, we encourage that. Just, we're all here to listen and grow together.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. All
Thank
right,
you.
guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to
Thank you,
our
guys.
third episode of Love Within
Wow.
Walls, a
Number
prison wife
3.
podcast. I can't sing, but I like to pretend I can.
Hey, we
Uh,
need the jingle person to make that too.
we need like a sound, we need a soundboard or something. But we will see you guys next hump day with video. Wah, wah. And we hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week. Bye, you guys. Besitos. Paige, where you at? Uh-oh. Did I lose her? I lost Paige. Well, I'm gonna say goodbye for Paige,
Oh
y'all.
my God. And I muted my mic.
Say goodbye, Paige. Don't be rude.
Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, beautiful people.
All right.
Have a
Bye,
good one.
lovelies.